This is a very big day for the future of the Republican caucus in the House and the Senate. First, let's talk about the Senate. Rick Scott announcing this challenge to Mitch McConnell to be the Senate Republican leader. Talk about what you're expecting tomorrow. And again, I just want to emphasize this. He first signaled this in an interview with Chuck on Meet the Press.
Yeah, that's exactly right. His non-answer to that question on Meet the Press really teed off this round of will he or won't he. Now, just in the last hour and a half or so, Rick Scott officially challenging Mitch McConnell for Republican leadership. And it's the first challenge that McConnell will face for this role. But if you listen to him just in the last few minutes, I'll show you. He sounds pretty confident. Watch.
I have the votes. I will be elected. The only issue is whether we do it sooner or later, and I think we'll probably have another discussion about that tomorrow.
So what he means there, Kristen, by whether we do it sooner or later is whether or not they end up holding these leadership elections tomorrow. There is a push from about 8 senators on the Republican side to delay these elections until after the Georgia runoff. And Scott is among those calling for that. Of course, for him, it would help him get more time to cobble together the votes that he would need to topple Mitch McConnell, who has been atop this caucus for many, many years and has a great pulse of where his Republican members are at. That being said, we'll wait and see if Scott actually has any momentum here. But we're not necessarily in wait-and-see mode as much anymore here on the House side where I'm standing. Next to me, we've got some empty microphones. That's us waiting to see if Kevin McCarthy, the man who has speaker aspirations, will come and speak with us. But look, what we actually learned today is just how strong McCarthy's support is within his conference. There has been a lot of back and forth from members, especially in the House Freedom Caucus, angry about how Republicans did in the House. Because remember, flipping the House was supposed to be the easy part. There were points in the past few months where McCarthy and other top Republicans were saying that they were going to flip upwards of 20 or 30 seats. Now it looks like if they win the majority, they're going to have just a handful of votes to do it with. McCarthy winning the ballot inside there with 188 votes. That's exactly what we expected, Kristen, not necessarily in vote numbers, but in terms of the fact that he would win. But really what's important is whether or not he gets to that magic number of 218 several weeks from now in January. That one is really important because that's where he goes on the House floor and actually is elected speaker. But at least for right now, he's cleared this first hurdle.
Okay. And Allie, as you were speaking, we saw the Republican leadership conference there talking. And again, hopefully you'll get some questions at the end of all of this. Let me ask you about what is going to happen tonight, though, with massive implications for the Republican Party. And of course, we just played that really incredible sound of lawmakers responding to the impending announcement by former President Trump. What are Republicans telling you? Clearly, they feel like a number of Republicans feel like he should wait until after the Georgia runoff.
Yeah, a lot of people wish he would wait until after the Georgia runoff. But even I was down in Florida for the last few weeks talking with people who are close to Ron DeSantis, Republican donors, Republican operatives. Not all of them are set on Donald Trump as the automatic future standard bearer of the Republican Party. That was even before what happened last Tuesday night with the elections. That only added further fuel to the fire in this larger reckoning over the future of the Republican Party. And so it makes sense when you see a large reckoning like that. The fact that the status quo is being challenged here in Washington for McConnell, for McCarthy, even for Ronna McDaniel, who heads the Republican National Committee, and certainly as it pertains to Donald Trump. He remade this party in his image, and it's not clear that they want it to stay that way anymore.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.